Hello, it's me. Sorry about that. These microphones don't half give you jip. To be honest, I don't know what its problem is. I really don't. It was just being shit. Yeah. Just it makes it so complicated when it just messes about. I don't know what to do with it really. Anyway. So the plan for today is not the most fascinating for you. So obviously I have been banging on about making a strip for a while. And while trying to set up the strip that I was making, I made a faux pas. Well, a couple actually. One, I used silk. Now silk is a great glorious thing. In fact, I have quite a bit of it. But it is evil. That's a good word for it. Evil. For which I can show you why it's evil. We can do something about that. Now there isn't, right? Now it's shut up and it's doing its thing, right? Sweet. I'm not actually sure where the other mic is, so only knows. Right. It suddenly decided there was an extra mic on the setup, and I haven't added any. So it's back to normal now anyway. So this is going to be a little bit boring for you, but normally, of course, what you see is me maybe hanging some bobbins on a pattern. Done. Now, as you've seen, I use a program called laminate, and thanks to Christy, who showed me that you can use, let's call it Photoshop, a painting program of your choice, GIMP in our case. However, there are certain aspects to it that were just going to be easier for me to do in laminate, despite much hate to laminate. More issues with laminate came up while making this pattern, but I wanted to make a pattern that was a bit different, i.e. nothing like my squares. Because, well, you know, we've done 7 of them, 28 triangles to be precise. They are a little samey, so I wanted something that was quite different. Now, quite different is, well, hard to achieve, because, well, left over right, right over left, right? However, we are going to embrace spiders. Now, you may recall, I don't like spiders. In fact, I absolutely, really detest lace spiders. There are no normal spiders in this piece. Each one is complicated by other things. So, this should give me an interesting strip that I can make more than one of. Now, originally, I did contemplate filling the page with said strip so that I am printing a couple of them so that I can make a long round section so that I can arguably make half a Windows version of this strip. I have not, because life is short. I made this today, and it is a thing. Now, is it a thing of perfectness? No. Am I going to get annoyed with it? Yes. But today I'm going to show you the slightly earlier stage of lace making, and I will warn you, this is probably about as interesting as watching paint dry, but it is part of the process. So today we are going to prick, yes, laugh all you like, British people, because we are going to prick my pattern. Now, I've spared you the printing of it and laminating it because, well, frankly, if you don't know what a printer, how a printer works and how a laminator works, get over it. The making of it in Lace 8 was kind of done while learning Oracle, actually. So, can't really share that because, well, technically I was working. I was learning how a particular application upgrades. I know, I haven't got that far yet. Now, what is slightly weird for me is that the talk in my ear is slightly muffled. And I don't know why. Because it's almost like you've got a pillow over your head. So either my hearing's screwed up, that can be a thing. But I can still hear you, so let's move on. So, this is my pillow, which frankly looks like it's been out in the garden. I don't know what it is. I seem to constantly clean it. It's because it's a dark colour, and it, like all dark colours, it is, well, it shows everything up. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to stonk in a bit. Problem is I want it down here, so let's see if we can move down this way a bit. Wrong direction. It's like worse than reversing this. Now, this is not going to be the easiest for you to watch, but I thought we could chat while I stabbed, frankly. So, the art of pricking your lace pattern is you have to be pretty damn precise. And of course, all you can really see is my hand. I realise that. For the dots. For if you do not, they will be forever wrong. And you would think poking a dot is really easy. Well, I hate to disappoint you. It's harder than it looks because you put the pointy bit on it, and then when you stab it, it's like it moves. Especially doesn't help when your vision's a bit shit. And so let me explain my pattern, because, well, it probably doesn't look. These lines at the edge denote that the dots on the other side will be like loops of... I know it'd be easier for you if it was that way around, but then why is that? That looks at a real frigging weird angle, which isn't so bad for the actual lace making, but normally it's a bit more overhead. I mean, if I do that, and let's see if I can shunt it down a little bit like that. Right, so the idea is this would have been a spider except for 3 legs that come out here, go straight to this one, so it should form the zigzag down the side. This has the same idea, but smaller spiders, so they only have 2 legs, and they all then go into this big kind of starburst in the middle. This is 3 legs again, but on a much smaller scale, making a small square in the middle. So there are lots of spiders, but if you don't get the holes right, well, then it's kind of going to go a bit wonky. And it's really hard to get the holes right when you're not right next to it. So I need to lean in a bit, because I completely missed that one. The answer is I have to take those off. Now I'm trying to make sure you can see something, and the answer is probably not as much as you'd like, but I don't know how to kind of, without kind of slapping the camera on my forehead, which is not an easy task, you know, unless I can have a kind of like, what I really need is those Google glasses. Do you remember when Google glasses were a thing?
and that basically it recorded your entire day. Well, they can, but the problem with not pricking first is it's really easy to miss, because it gets a bit busy, as you've seen, and the idea of pre-pricking like this is that you can kind of fumble around and your pen will find the hole. So this is, as they say, the generic way we do things. You can not do it, but then your lines will be arguably less straight. And it's a test piece, bite me, but a lot of it is easier. Now, some of the bits will go quicker, for this is a great and glorious thing about spiders, is that you do a chunk, shove a pin in.
It's not by my sweater, it's by the fact that it's about a foot above my head. Hang on, let me move everything down a bit. There you go. Is that a bit better? It's a bit nearer me now. I mean, it's just out the corner of my eye now, so hopefully that's better. Yeah, I don't know why you're really muffled in my ear. Hang on, let me... Why are you muffled? It's really, really weird. It's never been muffled in my ear before. Yeah, I don't know why it would be muffled. It's really hard to explain. But it really is a bit like someone talking through a pillow. And I don't know whether it's my ears or because, you know, but then my voice, well, because I hear my voice more like how you hear my voice, in that I have to hear the sound travel around the outside, which is why I speak so loud. And so if I can hear me reasonably clearly, I'm pretty confident it's not my earhole, which means it's the earpiece, but the ear or the computer, bit of both, you know, that's definitely can be a thing. But I don't see why everything's so screwed up. I mean, I know there was a Windows update, and well, that's, you know, always a problem. Let's have a quick look. Can you hear the music? I know it's not very loud. Okay. So the music's still doing its thing. That's good, so I won't mess with that. Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be there just so that you're not listening to completely dead air, really. It's not really there as a, you know, attention-seeking part of the stream. It is more so that should I be poking, sticking my head in it, whatever, that it's not just flat dead air. My problem is my whole everything itches. The more I think, the more I itch. Children, supposed to be on bed rest. It's kind of weird. It must be SpeakerBot. Must be a SpeakerBot thing. Don't be going, just open the fucking SpeakerBot that you had open from before. Stop trying to be a shitbag. Stop scratching up my couch. I'm wondering, because it is a slightly new version. Wondering if it's the voice. Maybe there's something wrong with the voice, because the test bit played fine. I'm bugging if I remember which one I set. Well, I know which one I set. It was one of the British Mail ones, but I'm bugging if I remember which one it is. Just everything is so... I remember setting this up and it really is not as easy as you'd think. But at the same time, there isn't an option of like muffle it. Clearly, you know. Well, that's not... Yeah, it's slightly... Yeah, it's slightly muffled. Whereas potentially others were not. Try that. No, they're all slightly... Whatever. I didn't have problems setting up OBS, and I'm happy to help you with that. What I did have problems with was things like getting it to read, thank you Rory, getting it to read things to me so that I can have my head down and looking at this, for example, and not have to worry that you're all clamouring for my attention because, I don't know, you know, the screen's gone black or something and I haven't noticed. So with that in mind, I use a thing called SpeakerBot. I also use a thing called StreamBot, and they've both updated recently, and I'm not convinced, but then I'd have to play with it off stream to kind of poke at it. But the thing in my ear, I have some earphones which take over my computer sounds. So I have various things play to specific devices. So SpeakerBot and everything else play to the computer, which by default goes to my earpiece when I'm on stream. But if I'm not on stream, then I don't wear my earpiece and it comes out my PC speakers, which is kind of what we want. Now, I did this, and I did this with a friend as well, so that both he and I, because for a different reason, he's working on his car, and obviously, much like my good self, occasionally has his head in the car and can't tell what we're saying to him. So I helped him set this kind of setup up so that he could
work on his car, and have conversations with us. And it works really, really well. But his worked slightly differently to mine, for no obvious freaking reason. And I don't seem to be able to line these lines up for some reason. My brain's farting in the middle.
But mine isn't that different to his. It was just slightly different to his. And what I don't understand is how... Hang on, let me just put it out again. What you can't see is me performing surgery on my earpiece. Trying to put it back together. Like that. Now I'm convinced that that's going to come out and stick in my ear forevermore. Okay. Speak to me, Nauticelt. Speak to me. Well, someone say something.
Nauticelt said, graphic tablets are the devil's work.
Well, apparently my earpiece has now died. Hang on. Somehow I clearly turned it off. Hang on. I haven't worked out the controls of the...
Nauticelt said, I could hear the TTS.
Yeah, you will do, because it's gone out through the normal thing, because for some reason it thinks I've turned the earpiece off. Hang on. Problem is it's hard to tell what's on, what's off, until it makes a noise. Hang on. Right, should be back in my ear. Try again, darling. It's less muffled. I won't say it's good, but it's less muffled. So, the surgery I performed would appear to have assisted his lordship in speaking to me. It is defined as British Mail. I think it's British Mail News, actually. What's it called? Made me think now. It is called... Yes, I know you're right. It is called... It is called GB News J. There you go. There are a couple of other variants of J, and and they all sound pretty crap actually. So, for example, if I... It's not going to come out of the thing. So if I go to... Where was it? Where the flying fur was the... So if I do it to... If I do it to... that. Right, so... But you didn't hear that, did you? That's a bit shit. Output device, speakers. So it didn't. Yeah, it goes straight Let me see what else we got. Hang on. Really? There's a difference? Yeah, that's horrible.
Nauticelt said, I got some chick called Sonia doing the read aloud for me.
Oh, so you'll do it for the actual TTS, but not for the testing of it, which was the whole frigging point of a test button. Well, screw you. Oh, for goodness sake. Ah, it's just too much, you know? Just too much. Anyway, it's still marginally kind of muffled, but it is less muffled. I mean, I can at least hear what it says a bit better now. Man needs better diction for sure. I need a ruler. I want to check something. Are these level? Because they don't feel. They aren't level. Actually, one thing I should check, which is very difficult to check when your ruler's got a piece of elastic on it. It is the same. It's right, I wanted to check it. I wanted to check that the inny-outy bits at the edge were, well, inny-outy at the same places. I only use text-to-speech for this. Now, I do have the almighty bitch face who reads me books. And I would talk to her. Him, it. It's probably more appropriate at the moment. Because my bitch face device has had a mood. And my bitch face device will currently respond with, I'm unable to do that right now. Because it's a stupid thing. And it's lost connectivity to the network that hasn't changed in, well, best part of a year. And so I don't know why it's lost contact with the world. But it has lost contact with the world. And so can't do things. Alexa, are you there? Yeah, the one in the hallway answers, the one in here doesn't. Alexa, can you hear me? Absolutely dead to the world.
And she's also got a really weird accent. So, I usually have the male up voice on my bitch face because I find a lot of the women's voices grating. But, for example, instead of saying, I'm sorry, I don't know how to do that right now, I'm not sure how to do that right now. What's im? What is im? It's not pronounced im anywhere I know, you know. It is, yeah, I don't know quite what's wrong with her. I'll possibly need to reboot her, but to get to her plug is challenging. That's the word I'm after. And there is no, you can't tell her to reboot because that would be too easy. She'll go, oh, to reboot me, you need to power me off. Yeah, I know that, but I can't get in plug. Can't you do a reboot? You really would think you'd be able to remote reboot these things. And of course, because she's not talking to Amazon, I can't do anything from Amazon to her because she can't see the internet right now. Even though, as you and I both know, my internet is fine, or I wouldn't be talking to you. And as I say, the network she's on has not changed in ages. And so I don't know what hell's wrong with her. It's just one of those things. But it's also amusing because she can't talk. She's the hub of all of this. And you would expect that as being the hub, nothing would work. Well, it's not true. All the others, and I say all the others not in jest either, all the others are working. Well, if all the others are working, they still use her as a hub. That's proving the network connection is fine. It's just her. And she shouldn't be a her at all. She should be male. But I can't get to the plug. It's the wrong side. Well, the only real way to get to the plug is over Mount Crapmore. And that's not a plan. Where's the other pin gone? There should be a pin here somewhere. I need 2, and there should be 3. That's a bit of a worriment. I wonder where that went. Am I in your spot, Rory? Rory is feeling a little second-hand. Let me have a good look. I have a good look now. Amy, get your nose out. You're the reason I'm trying to have a good frigging look. Rory might have a slightly sore eye because Rory and Amy had a fight. And it was Rory's fault. Amy got a big scratch on her nose and Rory got a big scratch on his eye. Well, I say on his eye. Hopefully just below his eye, which is what I'm trying to look at. Come here, let me have a look. Oh no. No, it looks like it's alright. Yeah, well it is. But to be honest, even if it wasn't Mount Crapmore, it's still in an awkward place to get to. So it would just be a little bit more practical to get to it if it wasn't under behind Mount Crapmore. But she was fine. Do not be doing annoying things, dogs. You're not in my good books. Dog tolerances are small this week. Does this sound like bed rest? Little Miss Limpy is supposed to be on bed rest.
So as you can see from the back, well, maybe a little bit if I tilt it around a bit, you can see that the prickings come through forming the pan. And I've missed one somewhere. Here. Yes, I see it now. There it is. There you go. It is really boring, which is why I thought I would let you share in the delight of this suffering. For this is the kind of crap I do offline so that you don't see it. And as you've said, you can not do it. But this then lends to putting the pins in the wrong place and making a less tidy work and uniformly brilliant strip, in this case, at the end of it. Now, what will I do with this strip at the end of it? Well, should I finally make it to the end of the strip with sufficient marbles to continue, I intend to make more strips. Now, will they be the same? Maybe not. They will be the same, well, similar, if nothing else, in size. Because, well, it's easier when sewing things together for them to be of the same size. By the way, if another one of those bugs shows up today, I'm going to scream the place down. I am not in the mood for a bug attack today. I have no need of caterpillars today. I don't care how harmless he is. I don't care how sweet he is. I don't care if he's my father reincarnated. I am not in the mood for a caterpillar today. I just am not. Just not today, you know. You are not resting! Wretched animals. So Miss Limpy is supposed to be on bed rest. Which any dog owner will tell you is like pissing into the sea and expecting to be able to notice. I've got more chance of holding back the sea with a teaspoon. So as I said, this is not exactly, you know, oh Liz, that is the most fascinating thing I've ever seen. No, it's not. So, let me tell you a little bit about the weekend, because obviously, over the weekend, I was Monsters and Memory, which I enjoy. So, much mirth and merriment was had. Obviously, you know, like all of these things, it is a free, open test. Any of you were able to come and join me, should you feel the need. Now, I'm not saying that any of you did, because I have no idea. No one reached out and said, hi Liz, I follow your stream and I'm here because you said it might be fun. So, from that point of view, I'm going to generally assume that you didn't come. That's fine. But people did come, and not everyone enjoyed it as much as maybe they wanted. Now, the problem with everything in life is that what one person enjoys, someone else hates. Now, in terms of computer games, even more so. For what floats one's boat in terms of one game can annoy the living crap out of someone else. And we had a few people, inevitably, log in and go, this game sucks, it's right?
I'm glad that you formed an opinion. I'm glad you tried. However, this game is not what I wanted. Is the opinion that you are forming, not that the game sucks. For the game clearly did not suck for the 1,000 people that logged in and played concurrently at one point. And so I don't know if they've got numbers just how many played over the weekend, but concurrently there were 1,000 people at one point. And if we all logged in and went, this fucking sucks, and logged out again, that would have been hard to achieve. Now there are points, there are things, there is room for improvement. It's not even in beta yet. It is in such early access that even early access doesn't start till next year. So let's not be pretending that this is a finished game. Let's not be attacking or even imagining that any single thing is in a final format. For, well, they can and maybe will change. It is a work in progress. Now, unlike my pricking here, where, we're about a third of the way through. If, this is the design that I am working out, and now I am just finalising the holes so that we can begin the actual creation. In gameplay, you kind of do something similar, but, for example, in gameplay, you might make most of this strip hating spiders, get to the end and replace them with something else. Because the spiders are separate, they're spiders, so you can change them. You can change the graphic, you can change the music, you can change the colour schemes of everything, you can change all the names of everything, you can change the entire... You can literally change everything. So, although they have written, a lot of the, let's call it fake history, the lore behind the game, the reason for this, and they've made some decisions that they are not going to be wanting to look to change. If it really, really comes down to it, it still could change. I mean, we know there are certain aspects that they are adamant that they will not be looking to change, and that if people ask them, their answer will be no. But like all good business people, if saying yes stands between you and a lot of money for not a lot of grief just to do something so that people now go, well, yes, I want to play that now. Well, you're going to do it, aren't you? So why, it is the kind of game that I truly enjoy, which is swords and magic, walking around, semi-open world where the thing that stops you is the big bag gnarly beast that's going to blatter you to death, and getting your body back could be quite difficult. But it's not done as, I'm sorry, to enter the area you need to be level this. No, you can go in, you'll die pretty much before the screen loads, but you can go in. The game is, I won't say based upon, but it's very much in the style of early EverQuest. And for those of us who did, that's got lumpy bits. Why have you got lumpy bits? Early EverQuest was not a friendly game, to be honest. Early EverQuest, in fact, was very unfriendly. Now, these guys have taken many of those similar traits and made them a bit more accessible, but not too much more accessible, to be fair. So that when you log in, the first thing you have to kill, basically it's a 50-50 chance. There's a 50-50 chance you will die, or it will. And to be honest, it stays that almost like that. I mean, let's say it's like 60-40 against you at the start, and then maybe the next mob is 50-50. Well, let's say it goes up in 1%, to be honest. By the time you're level 2, now there are mobs a level below you. This doesn't guarantee you success, but it does mean that, well, you're more likely than not. Once you get to level 3, level 1 mobs are kind of given, as long as you're actually fighting back. Level 2 will now be maybe not, and level 3 will be 50-50, and if you take on a higher level mob, which will con yellow or red, depending how much higher, well, even less likely. But it doesn't mean it's impossible. You have to be prepared, you have to know your class, you have to be using all your skills, you have to use them well. And, well, when you're level 1, generally you suck. Even if it's a game and a class that you played before, because realistically it's a bit like you're standing there butt naked because you have no gear. You have a bit of a twig for a weapon, and you shut your eyes and wave it vaguely in the direction of. This is how early fights kind of go down. The mob comes along and goes bang, 1 point of damage for you, and you go and maybe hit it, or maybe not. Usually not. You have no defense skill, you have no offensive skill, you have no skill in your weapon. Frankly, you just no skill in any of your skills, so they're all at like 1 or 0. And frankly, if you're even holding the right end of the short sword, it's a pretty damn miracle. So yeah, first few mobs are painful. You can stand there for quite a while with you miss, it misses, you miss, it misses, you miss, it misses. And this can go on for a while. And of course, the mobs regen, and so if you manage to then hit it for a whole hit point, by the time you next hit it again, it might be back up to full health. Therefore, they can go on a while. Rory, you're not helping, my sweet. You're really not. No. But this is the kind of game that I enjoy. Because you don't arrive and a little thing with an exclamation mark over its head goes, "Hello, adventurer!" If you've ever watched Viva La Dirt League. But, you know, "Hello, adventurer. Welcome to Honeywood. You know, I have a quest for you. Please go and see this dude." You know, man with exclamation mark, you know, kind of waves at you from down the street. You don't get any of that. You absolutely don't get any of that. I need you to go and deliver these to 6 people round town. Okay? Any hints? No. No, not really. Now there are some hints. Sometimes the quest givers. Did you just lick my pattern then? Did you just lick my pattern? I haven't got my glasses on, so I can't really see. Did you just lick my pattern? I think you did. Because I heard lickings. I did. Because your big fat head was in the way. And the pattern moved. So, I'm confident, my young man, that you nicked my pattern. You did lick my pattern, didn't you? Yes, you did. Oh, Amy! I will put you in a kebab. I will get Mr. Farmer to put you through the frigging hay baler at this rate. Can you just stop? Don't breathe heavy into the microphone.
push his head back, as you can see, getting in the way. I have been here all day. I have. And I've hugged you. Yes. And I fed you. Unlike my good self. So, just thank you. Yeah? Yes. So yes, I now some of the, as I said, some of the quests they give you a hint of, you need to go and find these 5 people. Captain so and so will be in his some glue, gluey stuff. Yeah, it's like boogers. Captain so and so can be found in the garrison, and so will be found in the library. But if you don't know where any of that is, it's kind of not very helpful. Now, the guards sometimes know where these places are. So, hey, Mr. Guard, do you know where to find this? Where is this? It is to the northeast. Great, that's helpful. However, if you ask them for the specific names of people, 90% of them don't seem to know. Now, if you think about it, that's not quite surprising. In any kind of city, because it is a city, it's quite big, you are not going to know the names of everybody. You are, therefore, if someone says, hey, can you point me to the library? Yes, I know the library. There you go, it's over there. Can you tell me where Mrs. Biggs is? Hang on, possible spam bot. Time to get rid of spam bots. Offending vulnerability, yo. Well, bye-bye, offending vulnerability, yo. You are a spam bot. And I hope you enjoy your short life. So yes, can you just make less noise? Rory, stop licking her ears. I can't see very far, but I can still see you licking her ears. I've lost where I am. There I am. So, the thing that I struggle with is I am antisocial to an extreme, really. To a high extreme. But when I go into a massively multiplayer online game, what do? Well, I solo it. I don't group with people. I don't really want them to be there. I would rather play the game by myself. I promise you, I am not alone. And that if companies made a MMO where grouping and talking to other players was not a thing, there'd be a ton of people on it. There really would. It is not just me now, it is not for everybody. Some people love grouping and wake up in a game and go, yo, I'm a 5th level cleric. I'm looking for a group. You must want any room at, right? And then inevitably you get back, yeah, come on over. And you're kind of going, wish I had the balls to do that. I have never been able to walk into a zone or whatever and go, yo, you must want me as part of your group. Any room at the inn. I don't. I arrive in my little life, I wake up and I go, well, these are the things... Sorry, I've got to answer this. These... I just go about and I go somewhere I want to go, and if it's full, I bugger off and I go and do something else.
And I bugger off, and I bugger off until I eventually find something that I can do. And then I set about doing it. And now, this is not a bad way of playing, but there are classes that do not lend to this style of play. And that's fine. So far, in Monsters of Memory, I am not at a stage where I am struggling to play any of the character types that I have picked. I will shortly, I'm sure, because some of them are just not designed for solo play. However, you know, it is indeed possible to find a select few of trusted individuals who grouping may be a thing. But as I say, it's not what I inevitably want. So I'm just checking from behind that I haven't missed anything. Because I can see through the little holes and you can kind of tell if it doesn't look right as a pattern. I mean, if you repeatedly miss the same thing, then you're not going to notice so much. But anyway, so I made, I think it was 18 or 19 incarnations of myself over the weekend. And I played most of the class types. Some more than others. Some. Now, I really like classes with pets. If nothing else, because it is effectively like having a ready-made group awake and ready to play with you at your command. Especially if you can heal, even if it's a shit heal, because, well, then you can repair up quite quickly, sit down, you send your pet out to do a lot of the work, you smack some mobs around, and off you go. Now, as I said, this is not for everybody. And to be honest, I think it would be wrong if it was. You know, if everybody wanted to play the same game, A, it would be really crowded. But B, it would be somewhat difficult. And to be honest, over the weekend, I found it difficult to play because the areas and things that I wanted to do were full of other people. And even if you got established in a small spot, usually referred to as a camp, you find yourself a spot where maybe there's 2 or 3 mobs that will spawn nearby. You kill those repeatedly to grind away. Yes, this is my idea of fun. Bite me. There's nothing more annoying than you're doing your thing, minding your own business, and someone has to come and be in your face, take the mobs that you're clearly working on. Even if you're currently trying to smack it. See, there you are, doing this whole kind of stick thing, like I said earlier, wafting your sword around, trying to hit it. And they come along as if you're struggling. And you're like, well, I was struggling, but I wasn't dying and struggling. I was just wafting my sword around like a blind idiot. And clearly, an awful lot of these people have never seen a bard fighting solo. Bards fighting solo is really simple. You run around in a lot of circles. There's a lot of circle running as bard solo. Well, let him in then, Amy. Hey! Hey! Enough now. Rest, children. Rest. Yes. I know you let him in, but you don't need to tell him off. He is capable of opening the door. I know this, and I agree with you. But you don't have to tell him off. No. And Rory, you need to be a bigger boy and open the door yourself. You've got a cold ear, my friend. Why is your ear cold? Hmm? Why is your ear cold? It's not that cold out. Stop licking my hands. But as I said, one of the biggest problems with this type of game, let me zoom out a bit because I'm struggling to keep it in view for you. Thank you, Amy. One of the big problems with all of this is that there are what in the game we lovingly refer to as kill stealers. So there you are, like I said, running around as a bard, singing your song, slowly killing random mob number 1. Now, because you keep your distance, you're able to fight mobs arguably above your station. But there is no guarantee that your song will hit it. And when I say song, you don't hear the songs. You don't hear like a bit of Backstreet Boys or Madonna or something, right? It doesn't work like that. Effectively, you do not hear any additional music as a bard. Although it would be quite interesting if you did, or worse, actually. Can you imagine if a whole fleet of bards got together and were all playing the same tune slightly out of sync? That would be a nightmare. Anyway, these songs are effectively spells. But the advantage of a bard is that you can sing them while running around. So, it means that you are free to run and keep your distance from said angry beastie. Said angry beastie, as I said, can be a higher level than you. Admittedly, not usually much of a higher level than you. Mainly in part because, well, if it's too high, your song stroke spell does not land on it. And should it catch you, well, you're going to kind of die real quick, right? Because that's kind of how that works. But these people have clearly never seen a bard kiting before. It's called kiting. And this guy started wailing on my mob, and I had to really hold back from doing the will you off. You know, if I wanted some help, I'd have yelled. I'm quite happy to either die or succeed in killing said mob. I was not looking for assistance. Butt off out of it, but I didn't, because I was trying to be nice. It's all right. We had a company all hands meeting this morning, and the tone of the meeting was not quite what I expected. Bear in mind, it was the first all company hands meeting I managed to be to, because, well, I was on holiday for the last quarterly one, and almost on holiday for the next one. 4 people! I have next week off. And so things will be all out of whack next week. And I'm so glad it's a 4-day weekend this week. So, hallelujah and praise be, right? Rory, stop trying to hump her. She hasn't got any bits, and nor have you. I know it's a dominance thing, but she does it to him as well, and it's equally annoying. But he tends to make a lot more noise about it, because he's trying to hold on to her with his gob, which makes me laugh. So, this morning's meeting was really quite depressing. I mean, I can do depressing. I suffer from depression. I can drag you all into a pit of doom. But I try not to. I mean, I rant and rave a little bit, but I try not to, take you to the dartest, thinking that your soul is about to end, right? this made me look cheery, frankly. And there was a Q&A section. And my co-worker asked a question. And he was like, look, I've asked a really nice, ambiguous question. Oh, that's cool. And I decided to post my own. My question took off like one of, these test rockets. And he chose to answer it. Now, initially, I got the impression he meant to answer all questions that were put forward to him that were not rude and abusive. My real question was not rude and abusive. But I clearly hit the nail a little bit raw on the head, I think is the phrase. Got a bit upset. Now, he didn't cry or anything, but he clearly was very riled by it. And although he'd been miserable, he was now angry. But the fact was, it wasn't just me. I posted a question. I'm not going to tell you why I asked, but I posted... Get off doing that! If you scratch my cushion off the couch one more time... Let's put it this way. You go quicker than the cushion does. Yes. You do not get to scratch up... Part of the reason I get so frustrated with her scratching up the couch is because she does kind of scratched it. She's wearing through the fabric, which will mean I have to have it repaired. I put a cover on it. She's made holes in the cover. But she's scratching also my cushions. And 99% of the time, she wants to use them as a cushiony bed because she is little Miss Princess on the Bee. If there's another layer of shit she can be lying on, she's on top of that. But she scratches up my cushions, and one of them is one I made, and one is one that I bought a really, really long time ago and cost me a small fortune. And, well, the one I made is beginning to look distinctly unhappy because it's got lots of little claw catches in it, and it's made little loops come out of the fabric. It also needs a wash because, well, it does. But what she's done is she keeps pulling... I don't know how she's quite doing it, but she kind of must get on the back of the couch and push away with the cushion. So the cushion starts... The seat of the cushion starts sliding off. And then, of course, this makes the cover come off. Then the cushions are coming off. And I have to put it all back. Yes. And no, you do not help. This is not helping. And you need to fuck off. Right. Otherwise we'll never get to the end of this. And I love her dearly. But I really don't fancy having this couch recovered. Especially when I can avoid it if she would just stop scratching the crap out of it. That's a good girl. How are we doing? See, from the back, it's probably not as clear to you as it is to me. But all the little holes form the right shape. So I've got the grids here. I've got the zigzag with the points in it. And then I've got the box, the square, the box. There'll be a square forming here. And then a box at the bottom. So, turning it over is quite good because it helps you spot if you've missed any. Because, of course, you are making holes in little black dots. And, well, sometimes, due to the uneven brownness of the paper, the dots don't always look spherical and black, and so I'm not 100% clear whether you've stabbed them or not, especially, of course, as the purpose is to stab, and this pricker makes the exact same size hole as the little black dots. So, although that was not absolutely intentional, I mean, it's nice, but
it is kind of, this is a brain drain. This is somewhat taxing on the old brain, just because it is repetitive and all of those kind of moments and all the rest of it. So hopefully when we do get to the end of this, I do have a few bobbins wound, and we can look to make a start. Now obviously one of the big problems with these patterns is that, as you and I both know, bobbins do not go as far as you'd like. You wind quite a few, but quite a few disappear very quickly into the pattern, because at the top, every single one of these top dots is 2 pairs of bobbins. Unlike when it's on a diagonal, it's 1 pair of bobbins. When you start in a straight line, it's 2. Because for every, so for example here, this goes to this one, and this one, this goes to this one, and this one. So this one gets 2 from that one and that one. So every bobbin, every pinhole is 2. Which is, well, annoying, actually. I spent ages. I had to make these zigzag things myself, and I am no artist, and I wanted them to look a lot like the other spiders that you see here and make them pretty. Plus, I had also had to try out working out how to make the, is this right? No, I want this line. How to make the zigzaggy effect, because it won't be quite so zigzaggy when it happens. It'll be a little bit more wavy than zigzaggy, although zigzaggy also works, to be honest. The zigzaggy bit, I never did find the picture I wanted. I searched high and low, never did find it. Getting a sore finger from holding this, because I was always taught to write like this, so that the pen rests on your thing, and because this is metal and hard, and I am unaccustomed to too much of this, although clearly I do plenty of this, as you well know, I do get a slightly sore finger. From the old pricking of the pattern. But we're getting there. But now you can see why, when I said sometimes, I've got somewhere, but I'm not ready because I haven't. And I hadn't pricked the pattern, or I hadn't finished it off, or, you know, I hadn't wound enough bobbins to even really start on it, and all of those kind of aspects. Missed one. And so, yes, this is the less fun section of lace making. Well, it is and it isn't. Designing a pattern, imagining what it will look like. Now, one of the things that I could do, I'm not gonna, but I could do, is if, now the problem is it's not as simple as my son. You might think that I can make these zigzags in one colour with all the rest around it. No, because what actually happens is these 3
come out as these three on the other side. But you could potentially frig it with a little bit of jiggery pokery, to use the words of Doctor Who. You could definitely frig it to make it so that you can keep the colours going down the sides. Because, you know, that could be a thing. Yes, the question somewhat riled our business owner today. And my co-worker sent me a message, do you think he stopped crying yet? And he's going to show his wife, because it's recorded, he's going to show it to his wife. And I can't imagine how that's going to go down. By the way, his wife's great. His wife is a great woman. But yeah, there is. But the thing is, it was a very pertinent question. Given all the things that he had said, it was a logical and practical and in his style of delivery question. Because the company we work for comes from a part of our country where bluntless is kind of normal. Now, I'm quite happy with blunt, but don't be offended if you can't take it back. Writes through the ruler as well. That's kind of funky. Now, I've never actually tried putting a piece of paper on it and like tracing over it, because that could be quite good. Now, I don't have one like yours. I have its bigger brother, which is also a screen, but it's not a touch screen because they're really expensive. And I was looking at the review of the new Wacom one. So there's a Wacom 112. So 1 spelled out and 12 for 12 inches. And it's expensive, but if I was feeling generous and, you know, the bonuses align, that could have been an answer. Well, yes, there is that. No compasses. But what you can do is... Oh, I don't know where... Oh, where do I have one? Where do I have one? Where do I have one? Don't have one to hand. You can get pin covers. They're on Amazon. They're really, really cheap. They're the little round ends. So, like women who put, like, pins in lapels and things. This is not the squeezy butterfly type, but literally like a miniature brass condom, for want of a better word, with a bit of cork in it, and that you shove the pokey stick into the brass condom and it protects the end. You could, however, use a small amount of blue tack and the condom for your compass if you so desired. There's a thought. I'll send you a link to the brass condoms later, if you have not already found them by the time I get that far. Because they are useful and they're good for sticking on the ends of things like this. But I keep this in a pin cushion, so I don't need to, but it is good for that. Because, of course, the other thing with this would be great for defending yourself with, you know, be great in eyeballs, frankly. One of these for the eyeballs would be hilarious if should a burglar come. Because, of course, you can grab it quite nicely. It's quite a good stabby. Yes, that's the disadvantage with those tablets, is that while in your head you can kind of look at the screen and go draw-de draw-de draw, draw, do, draw-de 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 draw. If you then want to put a ruler down, and because you naturally look at the ruler, it's really hard to line it up with what's on the screen, which is, to be fair, it does rely on a level of hand coordination that is not possessed by everybody, which is why some people don't get on with them, of course. But they are pretty good. You know, I'm not expecting you to produce the next Picasso here. Well, at least not immediately, anyway. But I mean, when I did my mandalas, it is a little, to be honest, with the one that you've got, the hardest part is you can't look at your hand. So it is a little bit like remote control, but at least one of the things that I love most about tablets and drawing on the computer, Control Z, right? Drawing thing, doing thing, because I'm actually looking at my screen, even though I can't read it from here. But, you know, drawing thing, bit of a square, making it a cube, drawing thing. Great. Then you discover, then you go, right, I now want to put the letter A, and then you've misjudged it. Control Z, and rather than wearing out the paper with a rubber, or an eraser, Control Z, zero sign of it. Absolute zero sign. The only annoying factor sometimes is what counts as a last move. Because obviously if you're doing a bit of this, you know, all of this, each one potentially is the last move, is one move, or a single move on its own. That will depend. And obviously, you know, it's not like you can undo, you know, let's say you write something and there's a bit of a wonk on one letter. You can't, on the last letter, you know, it kind of trails off a bit or something. You can't undo just that last bit of trailing off. You have to undo the last thing. And of course, if you did a decent bit of cursive, well, that could be a lot. So sometimes it's more than you wanted. But then also, God invented a redo function. So, you know, it is kind of I do find drawing on computer a little bit more practical for my brain cell. Because 99.9% of the time, I can rub out what I want without any trace of it. And it is 100% without any trace of it. It's not mostly without trace. It's not, yeah, but if you look hard enough. No. It is Control Z. It never happened. And I like that. I do like that. I do like me some of that for my drawing. Not that I've done any for ages, but I do like that because it is somewhat practical. Yes. The other option, of course, is use one have keyboard. The other option,
This is a more expensive option, but another option is, hang on, one of these. And so, for example, little buttons. Don't know. You would have to look at options. I would like to think so, is the short answer. I haven't used a Wacom tablet for a really, really long time. When I last used them, they were like Explosion in a Paint Factory colours, and, well, frankly, a little bit shit. Hence I went with a non-Wacom one, because they didn't cost as much. And my hand is getting real sore. It's got a dent in it now. This is, you know, but we're getting there. No, I haven't counted how many spots there are on this one. I could count how many spots there are. I have the facility to count spots. It does take some getting used to, but you will be surprised how soon your brain will go. A bit like using a mouse pad to click, you know, a normal mouse to click on the screen. You know, the first few times you were kind of, it's here somewhere kind of thing, right? Whereas the pen, you know, you can kind of hover usually and dot and move around. You do get used to it fairly quickly usually. But it is not a natural skill, is all I will say. Much like pricking these bloody holes. It also doesn't help that I woke up with a migraine today, and the migraine for most part has pissed off. Well, put a new layer in. Put a new layer on your drawing, and because you can always merge them, remember? Again, the joys of digital. But of course it can be many test layers, let's truly be honest. That's not Teslas, Tesla layers. It's not my strange British accent, you know. Anyone know if Katy Perry got exploded on her way to space today? Speaking of Elon Musking. Hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4 more rows to go, peoples. 4 more rows to go. I did warn you this was as dull as it gets. Especially as realistically you almost can't see what I'm doing. I'd need kind of a camera on the top of the pricker, really.
making my nose run. Yeah, I woke up with a migraine this morning, and I just realised that while I'd kind of successfully ignored it most of the day, it's really coming back now. But we've only got one more row to go. What would be really good? Making some fucking contraption that could do this for me. Spotting the little black circles and poking a hole in it. Must be possible. Right. We have poked the holes. Whew. Turn it over. Did I miss any? Yes. That one. Now, it's always possible I missed some more, but at face value, looks like I got them. It's not the end of the world if you miss them, it just does make it a lot easier to poke the pins in the hole. Let me move these. My table is a mess. My table isn't usually this bad. I am not the tidiest of people. But my table is not usually this bad. But it's got all of the square bobbins, or the bobbins for making the square, not square bobbins, you know what I mean. It's got all the bobbins for making the square on it. And basically the, and then some other bobbins, and some other bobbins, and then a pile of stuff, and basically a lot of stuff. Now, I have wound. I did say I've wound some bobbins. I've wound this many bobbins, which, as you can imagine, is not many. I think it's 14. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that will give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it doesn't go very far, does it? This is the problem. Doesn't go very far. Now again, it's not that it takes a really long time, because go you! I've just found the pin that I was looking for. Look, wait, ding! There it is. I'm sure Nauticelt, you understand this more than anybody else in this world. No matter how much you have or how much you don't have, irrelevant of which, you know, extreme that you might live at, places to put things never seem enough. Because you want lots of things around you so that you have easy access to them. But if you put them in things, well, then they're no longer such easy access. So you make a big pile out of them, and then you know where exactly in the pile everything is. So, for example, around me I have... Hang on, let's zoom out because that's a little bit kind of much. So I have my thread holder. I have... Bear in mind, this is a mere fraction of it all. My laminator, there's that poking in at the corner. Some books. My screwdriver set. 2 work laptops. 2 headsets. A hairbrush. The bobbins from former lives that need kind of sorting out, but have got different thread on. The webbing from the thing. Some fabric in a box. Can you actually even see any of it? Oh no, this is some more of the silk thread. There you go. You can just see it peeking out through the box there. And there's the box of my squares. And all of this sits on top of some boxes of stuff. It is, frankly, frustrating. So, let's put you back out the way. Now, I could wind some more bobbins, but what I actually want to do is get these loaded where they're needed. Now, this is going to be fun. Let's move Hedgie from out the back. The pack of bobbins that isn't open yet, because I'll need them later. There may well be knots. There may well be knots. At this millisecond, possibly not. Ha ha ha. Amy, can you not? Literally. The word not is going to happen a lot in a minute. Right. I want to stand up and I want to retrieve. Yep. Now I want to collect this. Right. I'm going to put this down. I'm going to put it under my pillow first, like this, so that when I take this out, it's all good. Right. Let's put you into the pile and grab you so that you are at a lower level. Right. Otherwise, this was going to be on top and this would have been really awkward. So, I don't want it at that angle. Hang on, I want it at that angle. Let's move you a bit that way. Right. Where's the pedestal? The pedestal can move over a little bit to put it in a bit more in the middle. Right. This was me practicing some of the kind of spiders of days of future mayhem. Now I need to find what the actual F I did with my scissors that I had earlier when I was trimming things. Hello, Skizzers. Skizzers, will you report to duty, please? So I don't think you're behind there. You're not behind there. You're not under there. What did I do with them? This is where I start getting annoyed because I know they're here. Because, well, they haven't gone anywhere. They can't have gone anywhere because I haven't moved is the short answer. So they're around here somewhere. She says re-looking under all the things that she had moved earlier. They haven't leapt to the floor, so they have to be on my desk. The problem is 50 billion piles of things later. Problem is they're not a very big pair of frigging scissors. How can I not be here? I'm not sitting on them. Are they in this? My pile of cloths? No. Then where the How have they gone? They're just not in the mood. Life is too short. Fine, big scissors it is. So, we want some elastic bands to stop the bobbins running around and enjoying life. So we shall scrunchie them up and try and be level so I can at least put an elastic band around you. Like that. So at least then when I go done with that and put them up there, and then we pull out, where's Hedgie? See, everything gets covered in this kind of it just gets covered in everything. There's dog fur everywhere. So let's pull out these pins. So this was meant to have little squares that kind of weren't squares, that were kind of, anyway, it was supposed to kind of link up as squares with a rose ground in the middle, but not look like squares, but not look like spiders either. Well, it soon transpired that I'd screwed up because I hadn't accounted for the row of stitches in between each of the spiders. So while I tested my spider theory on it, the pricking does not match what I did. So here you can see a spider with 2 legs, and then there would have been a line of stitches between them. Now this can work, but it was not the look that I wanted. This was not what I meant. What I meant was more of my zigzag. Now, the zigzag's not going to be perfect. I need to point that out. It's not exactly what I meant, but it's as near as my brain's worked out to what I meant, if you know what I mean. Because I'm trying to work out what I saw on somebody else's picture that I can no longer find to look at and, you know, kind of work from and say, well, this bit is what I was after. This is how they must have done that. You know, this is how many legs on their spider they had, or this is how they staggered it, or you know, they had a leg at the top and a leg at the bottom or whatever that didn't take part onto the next one, or whatever it was, right? So that's that. So this is basically an excerpt into Liz setting up her pattern. I've left the sizing on because, well, it's kind of useful, because I did make this slightly bigger than this one. So this one was 2.4 millimeters for the diagonal. This one is 2.5, because frankly that were, even though I've changed thread, which won't help, it was felt a bit close when I was working. The pins felt a little bit crowded, and it's supposed to be open. It's supposed to be light. It's supposed to be not kind of, we're not making bags out of it and you know, like string bags kind of thing. So, you know, it's not like it's got to hold shape for 50 years here. We are talking, it's a net curtain, or potential for style of net curtain. It is not going to be a net curtain because, well, obviously it's not big enough, but
of course, this is also another good reason for lamination, is that it means when you put these pins in, they can take a little bit of strain. So, and so it begins. Almost literally. So, there's your friend. One of the most annoying things is you put these in a pile, one at a time, and then they tangle the crap out of each other. And like this one, the half hitch has decided not to half hitch and run away. And shut up, Amy! Today is not the day. And you just, half of them are not. How do they tangle this frigging bad? Yeah, this is why I laminate mine, but of course I've only got an A4 laminator because, well, I'm a tightwad and I didn't think I'd need bigger. Potentially bigger could be useful. But I mean, I deliberately, carefully put them in one by one so that they could be extracted, and now they're all frigging tangled up. So let me. And as I said to you, the biggest problem I have with lace making, and you may notice these have all got these sin knots on top. I put the elastics on so that they wouldn't get away and run away and you know, undo. And yet somehow they succeeded. Like this one succeeded because he's taken his collar off. So, and the problem with all of these threads is, I don't know whether I've just got really big fat ass fingers, which is, you know, likely, but I find it really difficult to pick up pins and threads. This is a stupid hobby for me. This really is. But all of them should have a fairly short rein on top. So this was not a plan. This was never in the plan. Because they were all supposed to be short. So that, you know, that didn't happen, frankly. Put the collar back on. Put your collar back on. There you go. Amy! What are you doing? All I can hear is you trunching about the place, stomping about the place. Can you just sit down and shut up? But not on me. What part of not on me was unclear. Amy, I don't care what your problem is today. Today, can you... No. Please. Please. I love you dearly. I do. But if you continue being a pain in the arse, I will lock you in the garage. That's not as cruel as it sounds. Can you not? I am trying to untangle this. I do not need a fucking dog in it. It's got enough problems without dog in it. Especially when you can't see whether threads are over or under something because you have an eyesight problem. I really wish I could explain what is wrong with my eyes. But no one's ever explained it to me, what is wrong with my eyes. All I know is that there's something wrong with it. And I can't see certain things. It's like they just don't exist in my head. My head cannot cope with whatever it is. And funnily enough, ovary-undery things are one of them. I can't tell if things are on top or below when they're the same colour. My eyesight just can't differentiate it, especially something this small. Bigger things, so fingers, I can see finger A is on top of finger B, but I can't see
when it comes down to stupid tiny little threads. You know, which one goes round what, whether it's under or over or under, and round what, under what, through what. How to extract it from there. This is worse than a Celtic knot, because there's got to be an end somewhere. You, I think, need to come round here. I think this will help. So you now can come out. There you go. One less. You, and then you, and you. Yes. There. Right. I find things like that very stressful because I can't do anything about it. And I can't see it to explain it. And I can't do anything to undo it. Well, at least, I mean, if you made your knots with shit this fine, Nauticelt, I'd be lucky if I could even see what you did. Because that is the problem with this, is the fact that, and this is why I struggle with making the knots and why why I asked for your help. Because in terms of the difference of what you do, it's like hanging a small child off the end of the bits of the rope. And so making this work is really difficult because, you know, you've got these bobbins that want to roll around, run around, tangle, and of course if I let this go, you'll see it's twisty. Well, and it kind of is. To a large extent, it kind of is. In that, it shouldn't be this bad, but it kind of is, right? And gee, that's not going to hold, is it? It just becomes a real problem to do this when you can't really, like you say, they are frankly near invisible, because you can't, it's not like threading a needle where you can stick it on the end of your nose and lick the thread and, whatever else helps, right? You've got threads on a bobbin that, once they've been on a bobbin, go all squarely. So if I let this relax, this isn't too bad. But it's not straight anymore. It doesn't want to ever be straight again, right? It will never kind of be straight again. And as a result of never being straight again, when you come to do knots with it, when you come to do, frankly, anything with it, it's curly, it's awkward, it's... Why does that feel like it's come off? No, it's because you two are the other two of that. Okay, that's fine. No. Short answer, no. I have thought about it, but I think it would be too difficult because you'd have to do so much of this thread, because obviously all the stuff that's on the bobbin would need to be dragged through the beeswax, and I'm really struggling to get them all to be the length that I want them to be. Once they're all on there, it's not so bad, but it doesn't help that if you pull on one, 20 doors down moves kind of thing, right? And that they're not staying, the knots are not staying up here where they're supposed to.
And that one just completely undid itself. Cheers for that, arsehole. Cheers. Cheers, my dear. This is why I'm really struggling with these knots, is that these half hitches have been used by lace makers for decades, centuries even. And yet when I come to do them, they do not hold. And it's driving the shit out of me. Hence the elastic bands before we even started. There, that's about the right size. Once I'm used to the length of thread that we need, my initial unwindings will become more accurate. But until then, I make a ham-fisted job, undo too much, not enough, and all of those kind of moments. And because they've got the cones of shame on, adjusting is harder, because, well, that's how you stop it. No, that's not right. And that, again, ends up with split pairs. Why am I getting split pairs, people? Why? I need to not have split pairs. So let's try this again, because the split pairs is going to annoy the shit out of me. So let's undo this. See, somehow you're still not right. There we go. Right. So, you're all thing. Now, for some reason you are too long and you're annoying and you've got tangled with your collar and you're just gonna piss me off. Weren't you the one that was annoying me in the first place? Rory, just lie on it! Because this is the other problem. Here I am trying to adjust this one, and of course it's actually adjusting the other one as well, which is why it's also frustrating. Because you kind of want the knots at the top to a large extent. Right. And yes, I know technically I could have managed to wind these without the knots, but bite me. Right. Stop it, dog. Just lie down. Okay. So we are going to go for rainbow style. Which means they're on the outside. And you're on the outside. Right. So we're going to twist you twice. You're still on the outside. No, that's still not right. It's supposed to be really simple. Let's just leave it as that. But that's still not the pair. How can that not be the pair? So, this is the pair. I need... If I start here, 1, 2, you are now joined. And then we'll cross you over. Let's do that. Because you are a pair and you are a pair. Good. Stay over there. Right. So, cross over. No, that's not right. That's not right. You need to be with you. Right. So, cross, twist, cross. No, I didn't do the thing first. You need to be with you. So, cross, twist, cross. Right. I need you not to roll quite so much, thank you. So... Now, this is already wrong. Come out of that. 1, 2, 3, 4. You need to go round the outside, round the outside, round the outside. I haven't actually. I didn't cover that piece. Yes, I did cover that pin. It just doesn't look it yet. Okay. Here you go. Look at this. Over here. See, this is the problem. The pins, you know, this will be bobbins 5 and 6, you know, pairs 5 and 6. They just disappear really, really quickly when it comes to doing this. And you spend ages winding them. You think you've done loads, and it takes like 5 minutes to put them all on. And you're kind of going, well, that wasn't, you know, that wasn't quite so many then. Here. Yeah, there are definitely times, Nauticelt, where I would happily make lace with rope, just so I can see what the heck is going on. Now, I do have some distinctly fatter thread. Forgot to put the pin in. Douchebag. Thought I put the pin in. Apparently not. I did lots of twists and then never put the pin in. Okay, so the difference between this edge and the edge on the square, as you may know, on the edge of the square I usually do 2 twists to give a nice decent edge. Well, what I'm doing is I'm doing 4 twists because I'm covering a longer distance, and I'm going round a pin to make, basically, instead of half a stitch at the edge, I'm making a whole one. Itch, 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 itch. So 4 is possibly a little excessive, but we shall see. We shall see. That's the way it goes. Now, obviously, the beginning will look a bit shit because of all the knots. We know that's a thing. So yes. Let's poke you down a bit, and we'll grab the next pair of bobbins. Well, and as you say, this is kind of the other problem, is that, you know, if I was to try and use, 6mm is, you know, maybe a bit excessive for me, but if I was to use fatter shit, so for example, I can see something that I will reach across and grab in a minute when I've unleashed these bobbins to a length of reasonable virtue. Hang on, if I grab this now, if I was making my neck curtain out of this, now this still looks pretty fine when I put it next to this, but I can tell you it's like twice as fat, if not more so, right? the end result would look really heavy. It would not look very net curtainy. Now, for this example, I could very much have used bigger threads. Really could. However, if I'd used bigger threads, it would be harder to do a comparable join. After all, this is my QA system. This is my live-like environment where I am testing future life and theory. So I need it to be reasonably accurate. Now, I have seen, and in fact, it's on sale at the moment. There is a net curtain, bobbin lace, it claims. Well, actually, it claims it's crochet. You don't do spiders in crochet, not like this. It's definitely bobbin lace. But it is done with, frankly, knitting yarn. But it looks really, really heavy. In fact, let me find it for you. Get the stick out of the way, because we don't need sticks yet. Well, we will, but not yet. Stick. Let me Etsy that for you. Now, it is on sale. Is it that one? Yes, this is it. So, let me see if I can make the picture bigger. There we go. Right, so if I come out there and I go, minute, you should be looking at, yes you are, now, I can't really point at them, because I don't think you see my mouse pointer, but you'll notice the kind of spider-likes in lines coming down, and also in between them, there looks to be a few fuck-ups actually, but they look like the honeycomb stitch. This does not look like crochet. I do not see any crochet in this. Now, I'm not saying that it 100% isn't, but it's that honeycomb stitch that's either side of the spider area, the kind of hexagons, for want of a better word, that's very lace making-y and not very crochet-y. So although it is called boho curtains, which is made of sturdy, it says crochet cotton fabric, handmade crochet cotton fabric, blah blah blah. I'm not so convinced that it is indeed crochet, because it has somewhat of a very lace bobbin style of stitches on it. Yes. So we know that you are part of you, so we need to go 1, 2, and then you go together, and then you get switched over. So we've done our little kind of join it knot at the top. You are too short and you're not going to undo because of your collars. And we move you on. So this is the bit we're all very familiar with. So you can see forming already, briefly. The mesh of ground stitch that we are used to. In fact, if I zoom in just a little, if I do mega zoom and move it down and over a little, you can see the mesh forming there that we are used to. She says, yeah, that's how big it is. There's a finger. I mean, but there's, you know, you can see the traditional mesh forming. So, you know, we are, but we have barely got anywhere, and we already have an almighty pile of bobbins that we are swinging around on our pillow. And well, this is why the stress starts with all of these things, is that, you know, it's very difficult not to feel stressed out. Bunny ears, bunny ears. Yeah, I know. All of these are tied with your magic knot, my dear friend. All of them. Now, she says, let me put that back up there. I do have many more bobbins to pick from, but they are using a different thread. So I don't know if it will actually be possible to tell. Where's my thing? So I'm just going to check that I've not lost my marbles. Yes. Well, I mean, I know that you of all people understand that I still need to do something better to do round the loops of the top of my bobbins. But, I mean, seriously, this tin is absolutely full of bobbins. Look at it all. Okay. But yes, without Nauticelt, I would not be doing so well with my bobbins, that's for sure. For I am absolutely terrible at knots. Every knot I ever do, no matter how many instructions I follow, never seems to work out the way it should. You know, if you Google, like, you know, it'll hold and it's really flat and you know, great knots, I've tried them. It hasn't worked for me. I can make the most reliable knot fail, frankly. It's a gift. It's not a gift that I wished to receive. It is a gift that I would have rather given away, frankly. But apparently it is mine to keep. And so, like I say, you know, I'm sitting here and the knots that are supposed to sit around the rows of the top of my bobbins doesn't hold. Hence, I've got little elastic bands on them because that way at least they stay there. Because frankly, I have not got the time and the patience for the fact that these bobbins then run away. I need them to stay. So you know, I just people say to me, oh, I haven't got the patience to do this. What, and I have? Really? No. I do not have patience. I have stubborn. I have extreme stubborn. There is no patience. I mean, you've heard me. Do I sound like a girl with patience? Does that sound like a patient lady to you? Yeah, it's not a thing. Patience is not a virtue I have. Patience was not a gift I received. And of course, having the knots not do what they're supposed to, makes the fact that I have no patience even worse. Because, well, without the patience, and you know, and with the blessing of the runaway knot, these lead to cursing, infuriation, wanting to set fire to everything, including myself and the house, and you know, all of those kind of moments. And you are wrong. Why are you over there? How are you over there? This is not a thing that should be the case. No, you are from over there. Therefore, this pin needs to come out. For something is wrong. Something has mated. Yes, you have mated like bad bobbins should do. It's not Baldur's Gate 3. We don't need cow sex in it. Right. For those who are not aware, there is multiple. Apparently, there's more than one of cows or men shagging cows. Anyway, it's unnecessary. Frankly, it's a game. We do not need these things in our lives. We are bordering on our first spiders. But not necessarily enough bobbins to really do our first spiders. This is the frustration of it, because I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 2 more pins, which takes us to this line here, which is not enough to do the bobbins. So we will have to wind some bobbins. So we will wind some bobbins, and we will talk amongst ourselves while we're winding bobbins. This is going to be one of, unlike my square, where it's quite easy to do a chunk and go backwards and forwards in a small chunk, this is not necessarily going to be quite so easy. Now, for example, let's pick big square in the middle here. It doesn't look very big, I know, but it is comparatively big compared to the rest of it. So this takes a number of bobbins. Once I've introduced all the way down to that pin and enough bobbins to, so basically all of them, to get down to there, I can work that entire square before continuing on and maybe doing some of this. So I have to do enough of this to provide all of these dots, and it still goes back to so what bit can you do next? Well, realistically, right here right now I've got a couple of choices. I can put 2 pairs in here and start working one of them down that line, or knowing that this pair is going into there and this pair into here and this pair into here, I can kind of start in the middle and join up into the next row. So for example, I could join, see, that goes to there, that goes to there. You would think you could join these 2 to here, right? But technically you don't. So there are kind of times where you can join things together. It works better in Buck's Point, to be honest, because there you do work in kind of even when you're doing the diagonals, you're not working one pair across the whole thing like this. You're working kind of diagonally in pairs. But this, you can't. So realistically, there's almost nothing I can do before I get, until I've got the next 2 pairs of bobbins on, which is a bit shit, really. Yay! Good to have you back, my friend. Good to have you back. So, I wonder where my elastic band went from it then. All you can't see is that all I'm doing is extending them a chunk and then rolling the elastic bands back up. So I'm not doing anything exciting with them off string. I'm just kind of making them kind of level. So that's you in your pairs. Swap the pairs. You now go this way. I was going to ask later, Nauticelt, I was going to ask later. Right, so, despite these next ones being the first part of the spider, the actual first bit is the dot, so you still do the standard stitch. And the standard stitch then leaves the legs of the spider ready to do the bit in the middle. Which is why the previous one didn't work, because obviously there would have been the edges where this line still happened, which is why they were not what I wanted. So hence we are here doing this. And I've just dropped the pin. I've spent far too much time and brain power on this, but we shall see. I am hoping that this looks really nice. If this looks really, really pants, I will be really disappointed, and I will cut it off, and I will never do spiders again in my life. I do imagine that it will not look quite as I imagine, but as you can see, we're getting a little bit bobbin heavy here. And we're not even, well, we're about a quarter of the way over, and look how many bobbins we've got. This is the problem with my life, people. This is distinctly the problem with my life. It's just too many pairs of bobbins. I'm thinking of taking up needle lace, frankly. Because you have one needle and one bit of string. One. Just the one. You know, I can cope with that. That's right, that didn't look right for a minute. But it is. Do you go on the end? Make sure I didn't capture anything wrong. Right. So, poke you down. Now, slide you round. And slide you round like this. A bit more, thank you. Right. Last two pairs of bobbins that I've got before we have to wind some. Didn't put the pin in yet. Need to put the pin in. Put the pin in. Hang bobbin. Here we go. You know, you see, now I'm getting better at guesstimating the length by eye as to how far from the knot I need to be. I'm not perfect at it, but I am getting better as the row goes along. Until tomorrow. Until I stop and then have to start again. And then it goes a bit wonky again. But while I'm doing it, it does kind of work out. I mean, it's pretty accurate. Now, you are friends with you, so you need to go. No, I don't want you to go there. I want you to go over there, I think. It's not really the best plan, but there we go. There we go, like that. So, we can do some of these, because there is ground stitch above the thing. Like this. And another one. And another one, I think. Yep. See, you... the knot has descended. Yeah. Which one of you's got the knot? You've got the knot. But I now can't do any more because we've met the spider. And this one goes into the spider. Dash spider. Now I need to wind some bobbins. So, 1, 2. You do have a hat. Good. You have a hat. Empty ones with hats are best. But we'll just be emptying them. You don't have a hat. You can bugger off. I know there's plenty with hats on. So the first thing we have to do is take the thread off the old bobbin, which is pretty easy, but this is what I mean by curly. It goes curly, and tying knots when your yarn has gone curly like this is so much harder because, well, it's just harder. So now I've got 2 empty bobbins. Let's empty these 2 because, as I said, it's not the same thread. For those who are distinctly interested or just willing to listen, see, look, it's not just the one. They're all curly. Look at it. Look at the state of this. You'd like to think, wouldn't you? I mean, if I shove this down a bit, see how far I can move this down. There you go. Just look how curly this damn stuff is. I mean, you can see why a girl has problems with curly shit, right? And just to prove a point, here's the next one. I mean, you just can't play knots with that. So, where's my thing? My thing of thread. The pink one's on there just to stop it moving around. It's not actually for these bobbins. It is not for me a function. It just still has. The reason it's pink is so I don't pick it up by mistake. Because obviously if I had the other white one on there, well, they'd look kind of the same. They're not, but they're kind of the same. So this is size 60 thread. The neck curtain that I'm currently doing is in size 40 thread. Size 60 is smaller than size 40 thread. And to people who understand, although this is not entirely the truth, with this particular sizing, it is exceptionally similar. Which is, in weaving, if you have 16-2 cotton and 8-2 cotton, you'd think 16-2 was twice as fat. Wrong. But it's also not 2/16ths and 2/8ths, because a 16th is not actually half the size of an 1/8. No. What actually happened was, in the annals of time, a man, or a woman for that matter, somebody, some poor soul, made the one. And it was deemed the one. They took a given weight of yarn, so whether it's metric or imperial, and because there are different sizes accordingly, but basically the same shit is true with both. Oh, of course, you've gone to ads now, haven't you?
we will continue the one story in a minute. Oops, oh, I didn't want to go that way either. Where did my scissors go? Oh, how can I have lost the other pair? It's the size of the Mount. It's the size of Mount Everest. There they are. Goodness sake! I wonder what I did with my little ones. I'll find them eventually. Nauticelt, there will be knots, just not immediately, and I will demonstrate. I am just currently putting yarn on a bobbin, so there's one. Because let's be honest, this is as dull as dishwater. It's not exactly a spectator sport. One of you smells, dog. That's the point, it's not whispering in my ear about the ad breaks like it usually does. Wonder why it's not doing that. No, whatever. Well, it says it is, but I haven't heard it. So. Or I'm not listening. Maybe I'm not listening. No worries. Should have 6 months, so you should be alright. Misses ads, let's truly be honest. The only time you miss ads is when you want to go for a pee break in a film or whatever and you're waiting for the next break. You know, that's the only time you miss ads, is when they're not happening and you desperately need a pee. Right, so my dear friend Nauticelt here, for those who are watching and lurking, I had horrendous problems tying the knots on the end of these things because, well, stupid ends of string, not very strong, you know, flop about a lot, but also you've got a heavy bobbin on the end of it, and I can't really do it very well on stream. So, one, you make a loop, poke, and the other one goes over the top and down. Now, this is easier said than done, and normally goes a lot better when no one's looking, right? So round and down. This then goes through the hole, and you poke,
the magic end through the loop like that. Grab hold of the end and pull, and a knot is formed and it is strong. You then trim it because, well, you don't need, 15-inch bunny ears, but the knot is formed and the knot is good. The knot, all hail the knot. Many previous... Yeah, I know, but have you any idea how far away... Bear in mind, if I hold my arm out straight, that is the end of my arm. And I can't see what I'm doing that far away. I will try again. Don't worry, I've got another one. And I can't really move the camera or me closer because, well, I'm then in the way, right? Because there's cushion in the way as well. Let me put this in shape so that this is about right for a pin. I need a pin. Give me a pin. Hang on. Pin. I thought I was in shot, but of course I'm having to look at the bloody knot and where my fingers are. So, yeah. I can't look at and see what you can see and see what I can see, if that makes sense. Let's try this again. I can't get much closer, that's the problem. So, if you make a... fuck off a minute. The problem is I also need a dark background, and I can't bring the camera down any lower. Hang on. There you go. There you go. Right. So, we make a loop with this tiny invisible shitty thread with a bobbin hanging off it. We take the other bobbin, we flop the top over and grab hold of it and scooch up a little bit because we don't want it to be, too long. Poke loop A through loop B and poke the tail through the bottom, grab the tail and pull. And magic knot has occurred. And then we trim the ends of magic bunny ears because, well, we don't need that. And I don't normally use such big scissors because, well, I've got much better scissors for this. So this is not trimmed very well because I can't see what I'm doing because I've got a chainsaw to trim a toenail. There we go. I don't know where my little scissors went. Where the fuck did my little half tool... What I'll end up doing is I will look for them for ages, give up, order a new pair because, well, they're infinitely useful. I just can't see them anywhere. Not under my keyboard. I really don't know where they are because they're not on my table. I have no idea where they went. And they're not on the floor. I've already looked. So it's not like the dog had them off the table or something. Or I did. So I don't know where they went because I never left the table since, well, the beginning of the stream. And they were here at the beginning of the stream because I trimmed this because it had a bit of a wonky corner. Where the fuck can they have gone? This is the problem with my life. And then what will happen is I'll be in a mood and then I'll sit on them. Even though I've checked the couch like 4 times, I'll sit on them or they'll be in the kitchen. Amy, can you get off my lap? Please. This is not the time. No, come on. So, we now have 2 more bobbins. So let's put you there and go 1, 2 and back you go. And then swap the pairs and then down we go with this. So you're too long. More pins. See, you're too long. And then we put you back. And for some reason, you don't have your collar on. Okay. So that's you. And then we can do you. Grab a pin. And you. And you. Oh, itch, 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 itch. Now I need more bobbins. You see, they don't last very long. They really don't. They really, really don't. But we're getting there. We're nearly halfway. Dig out some more bobbins from my tin with collars on. Come on. More bobbins, more knots, more cursing. Trying to spot the ones we put the collars on, because then I don't have to dig out the box of collars. Because I know there's quite a lot in here, because obviously there's most of a square with bobbins with former collars on, so taking thread off is real freaking easy. In case you wondered, as long as the knot's undone, you just pull and let the bobbin spin in your hand, and sometimes it goes better than not, but you basically just let it spin in your hand, and you can transfer from bobbin A to bobbin B doing similar with my whirly twirly contraption, because I have a bobbin winder, and with the bobbin winder, as long as you hold the bobbin and you kind of hold it really loosely, I can't really show you, but you hold it really loosely so that the thread pulls from between your fingers, it keeps the bobbin parallel, and so it just winds off really, really easily. But as you can see, what's really sad is that you put 2 bobbins on, but you only work 1 pair down, and now you need 2 more bobbins. Now it works because you're adding 1 more for each as you go down. But in your head, you add 2, use 1. Add 2, use 1. Yeah. It's like when you think of time, and somehow the time never adds up. Or dates don't add up. Because obviously, there's a 7-day cycle, but it can be no days between Sunday and Monday, or it can be for nearly 48 hours, which is 2 days. But it's 1-ish, right? And so there are times when your brain goes, well, so I did this in like this year, and I did this, and I did that, and I did the other. And then you're going, well, hang on, that doesn't add up. And half the time, it never does add up. If the more you think about it, the more your brain hurts. And just don't bother. Just know that sometimes it doesn't add up, and just kind of live with it. My dad and I once had, I won't say an argument, but it was quite a clear-cut case. I had my car accident in a particular car. I know I was 19 years old, which made it 1981. Okay? My dad, and then the following year, we went down to see my grandmother. Me and my boyfriend at the time went to see my grandmother. And my grandmother had her dog, Becky. And she'd had her at that point, I'm sure, for a while. It wasn't like a week, we're talking a year or two, right? My dad swore, but I had this car. Therefore, it can only be this time. But it can't be, Dad, because medical history dictates it was either very early 1992 or 1991, I had my car accident. It can only be one of those 2 years. And in fact, there is an easy way to settle that. Hang on. So, Bryan Adams, everything I do it for you, reached UK chart number in 1991. I remember it being number 1 when I went on holiday after I'd bust my leg. So that makes it 1991, without fact. Because I went on a camping trip, and holy shit, was it a wet camping trip, right? It was a really, 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 really wet camping trip. And it was an en masse camping trip, so there were lots of other people. And the cars had to park in fields. Well, one of the fields was at an angle. Nothing, it wasn't like a 4-in-1 or anything, but it was at an angle. By the following morning, all the cars had slid to the bottom and, mashed themselves. So, I remember this exceptionally well. For I was sober, because I don't drink. Not that I can't drink, I just generally don't. Now, that's right, this, I need to move it slightly, because this is kind of in the way of my keyboard tray, which is supporting my yarn holder and my ear itches. Hang on. Biggest problem I have with these earbuds is that I get eczema in my hair and in my ears. And so having an earbud in can really annoy it. Right, so now I've got 4 buds. So all I do is I wind my thread as a starter. I know I can't show you, or I can show you a little bit. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4. I put a bit of a windy wind on my bobbin. I can't show you the rest of it because it's kind of over here, but you'll have to believe me. I then put the bobbin in my bobbin winder, hold the thread, and wind on some thread, snip, and then I try and do a variant of half hitch round the top that will hate me later. Tighten it all up as it comes off, tighten it up, and then roll the collar of doom to hold it still. And then I repeat. Needless to say, this is not the most... Amy, you stink. Just thought you should know. Only a friend would tell you, and only a loved one would mean it, but you really do honk, honey. Have you found something to roll in? So yes, this is why I don't do this so much on stream, because, well, this is, frankly, the boring bit. This is the tedium of setting up your lace project. And the winding of 80 gazillion bobbins is really not a spectator sport, which is kind of why I've always held off, and we've had days where I've not done stuff. And so I do count, by the way. That's why I stopped talking, is because I'm counting in my head. And there are many things I can do in life. I can type and talk. I cannot count and talk. I also cannot type out the lyrics of one song while singing another. I found this out. Back when Johnny Logan made #1 in the Eurovision Song Contest. So there you go. I was typing out the lyrics, and for Hold Me Now, that is. And well, I discovered that I can hold a conversation and type, as long as what I'm typing and what I'm saying are of my own choice. When they are predetermined, I can't do it. I can't copy, type and talk. But I can write an email and talk. You'd think it would be easier to do a predetermined set of words and not be creating both of them. Apparently not for me. Apparently I find that harder. So I guess it's because when I write it, I'm in control, and if I want to stop or I want to change what I say later or whatever, it doesn't matter. Whereas if they're predetermined words, then, well, I've got to do it exactly right. So, I don't know. Maybe that's why it's such a problem, but yeah, whatevs. So, yes. So I will send a search party out for my scissors later. Because I can't think where they were gone. I haven't left the room since I used them. So that's just irritating. Do that or get the nail chippers out. Oh no. Not ideal, but there we go. Oh people, we're not even halfway. Look at those piles of bobbins. And obviously one of the other problems you have with the roller variety of pillow here is that the optimal angle is kind of this strip at the top. Well, it can be slightly back a bit, so it gives you a bit longer, but obviously if you work in diagonals and it's at 45 degrees, you can only do so much before you have to stop. Now, let me count these out a bit. 1, 2, let's see. You are 1, 2, 3. Let's leave you to one side. Grab a stick. I know you're not quite a full stick, but you are a stick, because then I can lift you up and place you well out the way, giving myself a bit more space. So I have the 3 that I'm going to meet in the middle. Here are 2 of the other half of that. Now technically I need a 4th row, but let's deal with these first. So You are there. Let's put you there. Put you back. Yeah, put you back. We swap sides to give you a bit of a knot at the top, to hold the knot at the top, funnily enough. You need to come off the pin, thank you. Where on earth could those scissors have gone? They'll be lurking somewhere. Now that doesn't look right. There it is. Just doesn't look it for now. So yes. And this is definitely the hardest bit, is, you know, despite all of these pairs of bobbins, we still can't actually really make anything yet. And when you look at how little there is on the pillow, it looks really empty. And yet it's not empty of bobbins, but we haven't really done anything yet. We've not really made anything of value, which is part of the other reason that a lot of this stuff is so high up, is so that it kind of kicks in fairly quickly, so that we can look at something we've made. Right. I need... For my sanity, I need one more. I need one more set of bobbins. Put the pin in. 4 more bobbins and we can do our first spider. Why did I say that before and then lie? Well, I thought I could get away without it, but now I need this extra pair of bobbins, and their use will become obvious in a moment. Because I can do the bobbins. It's not that I can't do the spider. The problem is I can't finish the spider without the bobbins. And I've got some bobbins here. Give me the bobbin. I do that and knot it in around all of these other bobbins. So, you two, however, need collars. Now, my jink is running low, and the collars are where the hell are the collars? You wouldn't believe my table's actually not this very big. The amount of times I lose shit on here. Right. You two go in there. You don't need to be on my table. 50,000 sticks. In case you weren't entirely well, I did kind of mean that. Big pile of sticks can come off my table. We need somewhere to put you. Don't really have any boxes to put you in. You didn't hear that. Alright. Not seeing the hats that I wanted. No, they're too big and all. Where are the little hats? Where did I... No, Amy, you are not helping. Did I put them in here, perhaps? They were in one of those, so it shouldn't be in here. But maybe the spare ones are in my... Are they in here? I don't think they are. No. They're not in here. I didn't think they were in here. Though, what are you? You are size 80, okay. Size 80 thread, even skinnier than skinny. Leave it. So, not only are my scissors hiding, so are the hats for the bobbins. Let's put you all back on my little box. This. There you've come fallen off. You're sitting there. You need to go back up there before I knock you over. There they are. I have found the sin hats. Still haven't seen where the scissors went. Oh, there they are. They're on the floor under the couch. We have scissors and we have hats. Right. So, we unstring you like that. And we have 4 bobbins ready with the itches to wind on. So let's do this. Fair enough. You've also reminded me I haven't eaten any tea yet. It's getting a bit late, you know. Hat for you. Hat for the bobbin. Needs to go on at the bottom. Slidey, slidey, slidey. Hat 1. See, I knew I hadn't, the scissors had to be nearby. I just hadn't associated with the under the couch potential. Hats. The hat is
hugging itself and needs a hole in the middle. Yep. Oh, is it being stressful? Right. Windy, 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 wind. Hat. One more. Time for the knot. Loopy loop. So we don't drop the bobbin. Loop through the thing. Nope, through the thing. Stop bending and keep the tail through the heart. Pull. There we go. This one. That was a bit long, but never mind, we'll work that out in a minute. Loop de loop, flop de flop, through the hole and through the loop, pull de pull, snippy snippy, snippy snippy, oh that's a bit long, snippy snippy, there we go. Right, okay, put you back in your box before I release you to the world somehow. Send you flying. So, you're a little long. Where's your knot? It's just you. So we'll make you a little shorter. There we go. So, well, that one fell. It's the first time that's fell, but I think I trimmed it a bit tight, so that's okay. We can redo. I'm confident I trimmed that one a bit tight. Try again. This time maybe not quite as keen. Which means you need to be a bit longer. Right. Let's try that one again. You go there. Not around that pin, thank you. You would need to be a bit longer too. Okay. And you need to be a bit longer. So, you go 2 and back again. Up. Let's get you to the right place, and then we can do our spider. Should be a good place to end because I'm going back out. My migraine is somewhat with me. So. Right, you can also go in a stick. Did I not have more sticks? I thought I had more sticks. Oh, I do have more sticks. There's the loose pile of sticks. You can all go in a stick. I don't need you for the spider. You will be the end. Actually, have I not counted? Have I miscounted? No. I have not miscounted, but for some reason I kind of did, so I haven't, but I have. So that goes at the end here, like that. And you can also go in here for safekeeping. So we have 3 legs of the spider from the right, 3 legs of spider from the left. Now, spiders in lace making, as we know, Liz hates them. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Then we cross them over. So 1, 2, that's one pair out the way. Then we cross these ones. And then we cross these ones. And we have done half our spider. And we give it a good tug. And we get a pin. And we stick it in the hole. Back here, like this. And then we give everyone a healthy tug. Because, well, you've all got to live behind the pin. Like that. This gives you, although you look a little bit squirrely over here on the left, even though I twisted you, you look squirrely. There's my poking device. Why are you looking squirrely? It's like I crossed you over somehow. Well, short answer to that. Unpin and have a look at what's going on. Yeah, somehow you are over here. You should not be over here. You should not be there. You and you should not have crossed. So somehow we crossed those. So we will undo this. And undo you. And
go back and undo you. Because you are the only two. No, you also needed to come out of it, so you need to go under, Amy! Thank you. So somehow you are not quite as expected. Because you were twisted before I started, like that. 2, 3. Now we go back. Like that. 1, 2, 3. Yep. No. There's another one here. Yes. Amy! Can you not? Like that. Now you go over. Like that. So now the 3 pairs cross and make a flat shape like they should have done. With pink code, there it is. Because that would have been typical. Very first thing, and we screwed it up. That's better. See, now you have the 3 magic things. Not that you can probably see them too well, but if I zoom in and zoom up, if it's going to let me go up that far, you can see here I have the top of my spider is the 3 things. Now, these 3, once we do the bottom half of our spider, these 3 will actually be over here, but then these 3 come in a straight line to go to the next spider. We don't kind of seal them off like we will do the ones that end up on this side. So, it's 1. It's 2. And there's 3. There is our spider. Now, these 3 then get twists. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and this works down it because that's why we needed this extra pair. So this then works down the side like this. And as you can see, we now have, well, most of our spider. Now, these are ignorable for a minute. These ones get 3 twists. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, because it is not explained well, and we do not have the full distance of the next spider to travel, I'm going to do 1 more twist to try and let's see how far that goes. You see that goes quite nicely to there. That's what we want. So now we need 1, 2, 3. We need the next 3 pairs of bobbins. 1, 2, and your hats come off. 3. And we repeat in that these, hang on, brain fart. Why? Remember I said to you about like back in the 80s when you were doing programming and you had like print statements and data statements, and after enough of them your brain was going, print is not spelled P-R-I-N-T. And data is definitely not D-A-T-A. That's just not right. Well, this is what happens when I'm doing this. I do so much of it on an autopilot that my brain suddenly goes, wait, that can't be right. And it usually is, right? So let's scoot you across. 1. 2. Can we pick the bobbin up, please? 3. And we can tension this a little bit. And we can put... See, that doesn't look right. That could just be a tension thing. So we put our pin in the pinhole. And as you will see, this kind of joins together to form a across the thing, right? And then we need to give everyone a little bit of a tighten because it's looking a little bit, that's a bit better, on the left. And then we go back again. Last pat. Like that. So now we have those, and we can scrunch it up. And now we need you for... No! Thank you. That's right. Didn't need them falling off the back. So, you now work down through the side. So I thought my bobbins were going to fly off the back or something and become untangled. And I still can't manage to pick up one frigging pin. I always seem to pick up pairs of pins. It's because they're so small. I need more like nails. This would be another excuse to use rope. I would be able to use nails instead of these wretchedly fine pins. So you go in there like this. Now, you've already looked a little bit sorrier for yourself because you 3 need scooting up a bit more like that. And you will go to the middle of the next bobbin, but for the sake of completion and life, we are done with everyone to the side of this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know how many's in here though, because that looks like a good many. And I can't flatten them because it's on a round surface. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I thought you were full. So let's take you out then and put stick under you. And I can put you on top. You over there, making a heck of a lot more room. So, don't need you for a second. Let's get down the side.
And that gives me the next 3 bobbins. But as you can see, you can now see that it's going to make this kind of wave as it goes down through the lace. And I'm not going to pretend that it's perfect, but because of the roundness of the spider bobbins, it makes it a little bit more of a wave than a zigzag. Is it perfect? No. Not by a very, very long way. Could it be done better with more spider legs? Possibly. However, tolerations and brain power dictate that this is plenty. Now, there are other spider middles that can be done. And personally, I quite like the idea of just doing the... You know how like I did the first cross and you ended up with like a diamond? That kind of appeals. Because it's simpler, it's like half of it. But it wouldn't look so good when you've got the 3 legs that come in from the side. So from that point of view, not ideal for this. For other things, probably. But as you can see, we have very much achieved liftoff. We have making of lace. We have starting of pattern, which, bear in mind, when I was doing the other one, if I compare it to, if you can see, bear in mind, okay, it was slightly close together, but I had to get more than half the bobbins in before I even started the first kind of diamond here. So all of that, I'd kind of got to this point with the silk, and still all I'd done was like this little insty bit of triangle, and my head was just going, I am not in the mood for this. You know, we were doing something else to make me happy, says Brain Cell, not make it harder. And so hence I wanted to get the zigzag bit in, because that was originally. Now obviously this does kind of have something similar to what I'd intended, in the middle of here, in this big one, this is similar to what I wanted, but it wasn't quite. I wanted to do kind of a rose ground in the middle, but so there would be slightly less spiders and a rose ground in the middle. But yeah, I'm going to go with this one because, well, I can. You know, it was a free motif. Well, I say it was free. I think I paid for it actually, but it's a motif that I've got for Lace 8, and it's interesting. You know, it's not going to kill me, but as you can already see, my mouse point runs off the table because I've had to push the table in a bit. This is no longer. This is almost as far down the front as I'd want to work. Now I can roll it back a bit more, but much more, and it's almost out of sight. And obviously, so, you know, it gets complicated. So I need to be careful how I work it. And working this big square could be slightly awkward in that it kind of almost covers the maximum distance. But that's okay, because once we've done it, of course, we can roll on a bit. But as you've seen, we're getting there. I mean, it looks a bit crowded because of all the pins. As we know, the pins really do not help. That's right, it looked like it was a mistake, but it's the shading of the pin on my tiny screen. I mean, seriously, look how small this is, you know. But what do you think, people? What do you think? It makes a change from our square, and I'm not going to promise not to do some of this off camera, because, well, I'm not. I'm going to do some of it off camera, because otherwise it will take 3 lifetimes, as we've already worked out. But I will obviously do some on stream, and I will be doing this for probably a week or so on stream and see how we go, see how far we can get. If nothing else, what I will do is a strip. Well, the problem is you can't see what the bobbins are doing, so it's a bit of a kind of pain in the butt. But certainly the close-up view is good to see occasionally, which is why I've got it, so that you can see, you have bits where you can see what my hands do, because obviously, much like everything, this has an element of repeated pattern. So we've got the spiders, which once I'd done that first one, which had 3 outside legs kind of thing, each one of them has 2 kind of straight legs and 2 outside legs. So the pronged one, oh, you can't, it's a bit, let me zoom out because I can zoom out. You've got the 3 ones, and then you've got some 3 ones. So you've got, these are my outside legs, so these are the ones leading to the outside world that's split, and the inside legs are the ones that are parallel. So, each one of these has got 2 inside legs till we get to the bottom. So that's a repeating theme. You can see, you can have some up close and some not up close, so you can remind yourself what happens with the bobbins, and then we can do some up close so that you can see it happen. Because like that, on my screen, you have no idea, but the little dots on here are almost bigger than the white dots on my computer screen. And obviously past bobbins. But when it comes to the big one, obviously it's quite a lot of bobbin, but they are made of individual little spiders. So you can do like a row of some of them, and then you can chuck some out. Do a row of some of them, chuck some out. Do a row of some of them. You don't have to do the whole one thing in one, well, you do it in one sitting kind of thing, but you don't have to do it. It is made of multiple pieces, because it's actually made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 spiders. As a result of being made of 13 spiders, you do 13 spiders, but of course the middle one will go quite quick. Same with this one that's kind of lurking around the corner that you can't really see, which is this size spider, so these sides, but you make 4 of them, and then the inner legs make kind of a square in the middle. Kind of curious to see how that turns out, if that's as nice as I... Bear in mind, of course, there is no one single spider of a spider on here. They don't all have outside legs. In fact, there is not a single spider that has fully outside legs. And that is a good thing, because I don't like them. This zigzag thing, when I saw it, and hopefully this is going to turn out like I wanted it to, made me think I could like spiders. The other spiders on here are just to fill the space, frankly. But I'm curious to see how they'll turn out, because I do think that, amongst other things, perhaps, I won't hate them as much as I could have done. Bear in mind, of course, the thing I hated most about my very first square that I did was the spiders. So, hence, really not liking spiders. I've done some in bookmarks, don't like them in bookmarks. But I do think with this, they serve an interesting purpose. Because obviously with, for example, we are planning a net curtain. Perhaps this will be the strip. I will just make it a heck of a lot longer. Because of course it can repeat itself. Because it already repeats itself. The actual strip is half the height of this. And you repeat until it's as long as you need. And it is one of those things, is that if this could be the strip of my dreams, unlikely, but it could be the strip of my dreams. Let's say, once I complete this, I absolutely love it and envisioned it for my full curtain, right? Now, of course, the other thing is I could do different on top with almost like a rainfall kind of idea. So this at the top, and then it kind of peters out as it goes down. In a kind of V shape, or something. Again, far too many decisions, and my brain will never decide that. I can imagine me being halfway down it and still not having decided. But let's say this is the perfect strip. Let's say Liz is so overly happy. That's right, for one moment I thought I'd miscounted and it wasn't centered. 1, 2, 3. Hang on. For God's sake, no. Please tell me no. My brain is telling me it's not centered.
And I think my brain's lying. But now my brain's kind of convincing me that it's not centered. I can't really turn it around too much, but if I tilt that up so that you can see what I'm saying, and we zoom in and we zoom up a bit. Right, I am looking at this. And this corner here goes miss one to the edge of the spider. This corner here, miss one to the edge of the spider. But when you look at it, your brain moves and ends up on the line above. And my brain is going, it's not centered. It's not centered. It's not centered. It's not centered. And this is the kind of brain I have to deal with, right? This is the kind of shit that my brain does to me. And, you know, can we not, brain? Can we just friggin' not? Actually, down one is probably better. Right. But let's pretend this is the perfect strip. Well, then we will have made a mini example when we join strips together. And as I said, the plan may end up being we now interlace a square with a strip, a square, a strip. Till we've got a couple of strips, you know, 3 or 4 strips to try different joining methods with. Now, you see, here comes the problem. If I like the strip a lot and the joining method's shit, well, that's going to be a problem, isn't it? Because then I'll wreck a perfectly good strip. And I'll be mad. And what will I make with it at the end? Who knows, right? For I have no use for it as a strip. Because it's not long enough to be anything good. It's too short to be... It's too long to be some smaller things. You can't really call it... I mean, you could make a strip a bookmark, but you can't join 2 strips together and still call it bookmark, because, well, it's bigger than the book. You see my problem, right? So I'm not sure what I would do with it if I joined the strips. Other than, these are my strip joining experiment. I don't really want pointless bits of lace, frankly. But, I'm kind of proud of it. I spent some time on my design today, and yesterday. I mean, I did play games for 90% of the weekend, but I did occasionally poke this and have some ideas and look at things on the internet and look at how things on the internet looked and know what the patterns were and how are they achieving the look. And this, obviously, this kind of conjoined square thing is a thing, because that's what they're called, conjoined spiders. But the conjoined kind of thing, I kind of like how the spiders work, because as I said at the beginning, you would think that because it looks like that, because it will wave like this, that the colour, if you did coloured legs, the coloured legs would go in and out. But they don't, because the legs that went in here... Actually, they might do. Hang on. They go to the other side and back. They go to the other side and back. They would, actually. If I wanted to, I could colour them. And there would be a way to hide that maybe you've swapped out for different colour. But you could colour them so that the legs and... the legs that do the wave, or even just the whole spiders, although I think that would be harder because obviously you need to change the colour at the edge of the spider, that realistically you could do that. But you could make the wave effectively a different colour by having those 3 legs that come in a different colour. So this would be a pale body, then you'd have the colour as it goes over to here, and then a pale body, a coloured legs. And I think I'm not sure it would look as good though, because obviously the mingling with another colour could make it go wonky, but you can't really fix the legs for the others, because they don't, because those legs that go in there come out, but these outside legs go back out the way they came. So you can't really just change the colour for that really short period of time. It would get too messy. I mean, it is doable in theory. And I guess what you could do is almost not do spiders. Looking at the pattern and thinking of just the zigzag, you could almost not do the spiders. Almost. You need to do something to join the legs together. I'd have to think about that. Mega yawn. Bit like that, it almost looks like, on the pattern, it almost looks like sewing two sides of things together, right? Ooh, yawn. I had a terrible case of the yawns this afternoon. I had to apologise to my co-workers so much. They were trying to show me something that they do because, for political reasons, I am trying to learn what they do. Am I overly interested in what they do? Kind of no. I am idly curious, like I'm idly curious about, Nauticelt and his knots and Nauticelt and his rope twisting. I am interested, but I don't necessarily want to take it up and do it myself. I'm interested how it works. I'm interested, I have some ideas of how it kind of hangs together a bit and, and all that kind of stuff. And so the same is true with my co-worker friend, and his doings in life. Because I have done some database work, I have some understanding. But his stuff calls all the things different things. It's a bit like, say, the UK and American pants. The moment you say pants here in the UK, we are talking underwear. We are talking tidy whities, right? In America, of course, you're talking trousers. But you call them pants. And this is very, very much true with his database thingy and the database thingies that I've used in the past. In that the words we use are the same, but what he means are different. This does not help me. This makes my brain hurt. Because, of course, for many years now, I have faffed with databases on a casual to even professional level. And all of them agreed that this is called that and that is called... And this one doesn't. Grr. Anyway, we have our 3 legs here to go across. And I definitely think adding another twist to make it 4 was a good idea for the crossing. So that is a good thing. We are close to starting the next spider. It is a bit like that. It is a bit like that. Anyway, oh, Misty! Well, that makes far more sense. And there was me, Nauticelt. I thought you were being rude. No. I'm glad. Thank you, Misty. I appreciate your message. For you are loved. And I give you a big hug, but it's a bit of a drive. Frankly. I understand Amy likes to, trounce the keyboard and I understand. No. Anyway, I think that that'll be the end today. I will try and wind some more bobbins. I will try not to do any tomorrow. Oh, sorry about the yawns. But it is 11 o'clock at night. So, I will... and I had a long weekend of not a lot of sleep. Let's just say I think I stayed up quite late Friday night. So I think it was like 2 in the morning, which isn't too late, but 2 o'clock in the morning. I then got up early, for me, and then gamed 99% Saturday through to 4 o'clock in the morning. I think it was nearer 4:30, maybe even 5 by the time I'd done a bit of doom scrolling. And then got up not very long later and did kind of the same again on Sunday, although I went to bed earlier it didn't really make up for the fact that I'm old and all the rest of it. So we have our parser bobbins. Let's kind of put you in the middle so you don't try and roll off the back, like this. We will get a cloth of doom. Here is a doom cloth to kind of go over the top, because you cannot stay here. For my laptop can't really sit on that. That would be a bad plan. Sweet, that's really good news. How's Mark doing? So, yeah, doesn't help in life, that's for sure. Anyway, this can't stay here because, well, clearly my laptop's going to go here tomorrow. So that's kind of what the board is for. The laptop can go on the board. That can go back there on top of the couch. So my laptop can go back on there. However, it has been great. I hope you have enjoyed this scheduled diversion from the traditional squares of doom. For it is a nice change to not be doing squares and triangles. But we have made a strip. We have made progress. You've had a bit of an insight into the setting up of a pattern and the joys that live within the tedium of the setup. And now you know why sometimes I just quite never got round to it. But you shared in it today. And the advantage, this is the advantage of laminating it, is that no matter how many of these strips I want to make or not, realistically, I don't have to make another one of those. Now, unless we go for the full Monty, if we decide that this is the strip of dreams, I will probably have to make another one or two so that we've got, a more continuous strip that is is possible to reach the lengths of which we require. So it might be 4 or 5, to be honest. But it is, it could be a few more. But we will, for now, we have the ability to make strips. We have the ability to make triangles. We can kind of interchange a little between the two for some variety. And then we can experiment with the joins on the strips, which can also be another segue into life. And then, of course, there's always the making bookmarks and other various atrocities of life, just because we can. So, we shall see. Well, I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for coming today. I shall see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.